everyone! In this part, we'll compare Chinese and Western poetry on war. British science fiction writer H.G. Wells once said, "If we don't finish war, then war will finish us." In fact, the history of war is as long as that of human beings, and the first batch of poems are also related to wars, both in China and in the Western world. Generally speaking, war poems in China can fall into two categories. The first kind shows soldiers' patriotism to fight the invaders and defend the homeland. One of the most famous is Wu Yi from Shi Jing, the book of songs.其曰无衣，与子同袍。王于兴师，修我戈矛。与子同酬。Are you not battle dressed? Let's share the coat and the vest. We shall go up the line. Let's make your lance shine. Your foe is mine. In this poem, a soldier reiterates his passion to stand with his fellows, defeating all the invaders. The second category, accounting for most part of Chinese war poems, depicts the disastrous side of war, which brought unspeakable sufferings to the people, such as 白骨露于野，千里无鸡鸣。
关东有义士，兴兵讨群凶。初期会盟津，乃心在咸阳。君何力不齐，踌躇而宴请。势力使人争，似悬自相枪。淮南地称号，克许于北方。铠甲生几师，万姓已死亡。白骨露于野，千里无鸡鸣。生民百依依，念之断人肠。
White bones are exposed in the wild. Low crawling can be heard for thousands of miles. What a miserable scene! Join the army at 15 is narrated by a veteran soldier who, after going through thick and thin on the battlefield, returned to his native place only to find that it was deserted. Nobody was inside, and after years of forced military service, he was completely alone in the world. We may read the veteran's sadness and loneliness in this poem and sense his tiredness of the war, no matter what war it is. While in the Western culture, war is not so bad. It's even something worth praising. As early as in Homer's epic Iliad and Odyssey, a lot of lines are about the glory of wars. The poets regard war as a way to gain the love from God. In Old Testament of Bible, a battle scene is depicted in the poetic lines. The Assyrian came down like the wolf on the fold, and his coverts were gleaming in purple and gold, and the sheen of their spears was like stars on the sea, when the blue wave rose lightly on deep Galilee. Like the leaves of the forest when summer is green, that host with their banners and sunset were seen. Like the leaves of the forest when autumn has blown, that host on the morrow lay weathered and strewn. 亚述人冲下来，像狼入羊栏，紫色军团披铠甲，金光闪闪。夜晚，蓝色波涛涌入加利利深谷，矛枪恰似海上的星星，闪光飞舞。像夏天绿色森林里的树叶，王者的战旗在落日下摇曳。像秋风吹落森林里的树叶，次日横切树疤躺着的士兵精疲力竭。In this poem, the brutality of war is deliberately ignored. We only see the grand army press on its enemy like wolves rushing to sheep, and kill them like leaves of the forest. Similarly, a lot of Western poems tend to beautify war instead of disclosing the pain war brought to people. That's a big difference between the two cultures. Even in the poems depict the destructive power of war, we can easily see how the different cultures influence poets' writing. In T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, April is the cruelest month. Lyrics out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dark roots with spring rain. 4月是最残酷的月份，在死地上养育出丁香，搅浑了回忆和欲望，用春雨惊醒迟钝的根。It reflects the disillusion of dreams and ideals after the disastrous First World War. Similarly, 姜夔扬州慢 has the same effect.
淮左名都，竹溪家处，谢安少驻出城。过春风10里，尽荠麦青青。自胡马窥江去后，废池乔木，犹厌言兵。见黄昏，清角吹寒，都在空城。杜郎俊赏，算而今重蹈虚境。纵豆蔻词工，青楼梦好，难复深情。24桥仍在，波心荡，冷月无声。 念桥边红药年年，知为谁生。
Like Eliot's wasteland, it's also the springtime, but for miles around, little of wheat is seen. But weeds around. After the Hu Lomand pillage, everything is laid waste. Although Jiang also depicts the horrible scenes after the war, unlike Eliot, he doesn't depict wars in details and no personal feelings in it. If we study Wasteland in a closer look, it's quite obvious that Eliot put his strong emotion in the poem, and we can see the scene of the war quite clearly. In Wasteland, Eliot uses 434 lines to describe the dry land has low water, grows low crops. The drier is the human's sorrows. Life becomes meaningless when humans lost belief and ideals. Therefore, the poem goes beyond the personal emotion and has depth. While in Yang Zhou Man, we only hear the poet's sigh and his personal emotion in a very limited space. Why there are such differences? The main reason is that Chinese culture is agricultural civilization. Since war will disturb the produce of agriculture, naturally, we Chinese people hate wars and try to avoid conflicts. In contrast, Western culture, rooted from Greece, is more aggressive and more adventurous since it is kind of marine civilization. War is a way for the Westerners to explore new territory and to have more fortune. Therefore, in Western culture, war is often exalted. Now, let's review this part by 3 questions. Question 1. How do Chinese poems depict wars? There are 2 categories of Chinese war poems. One is to extol patriotism and show soldiers' strong will to defend homeland and fight the invaders with all might. The other is to condemn the cruelty of war and express the expectation for peace. The latter takes the greatest part of Chinese war poems. Second question. How do Western poems depict wars? Western poems tend to beautify wars. The cruelty of war is ignored, and the glory of the victors in a war is amplified in most war poems. Poets mainly describe the land and goods a war may bring in rather than the pain people suffer in the war. Third question. What makes the differences? The differences between Chinese and Western war poems result from different cultures. China belongs to agricultural civilization, which means peace wins more than war, since the development of agriculture relies heavily on a peaceful environment. Western civilization is more aggressive since it's rooted from Greek marine civilization, which emphasizes on courage and adventurous spirit.